Quiet on set. Picture is up. All right, roll sound.
Rolling.
Roll cameras.
Cam's rolling.
And 3, 2.
Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to Hank's Think Tank. It's a weekend, and I've got good news. I got Mark Hogan.
Howdy, everybody. Good to be back.
Yeah, this is Mark's debut for 2024, and good to have you back in, bro.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah. So today we've got another one of the candidates from District 18 House Representative race. His name is Stephen Missick. He has been on the show before. It's been a while, but he's back in the race again. And so today me and Mark are going to grill this guy. We're going to drill down and get down to the issues and find out what his platform is, where he stands on those issues, and if he's a good vote or not.
So that's District 18, which encompasses, tell me, Liberty?
Liberty, San Jacinto, East Montgomery County, and Hardin County.
All right. So if you're in those areas, pay attention.
That's right. So it's important to be intelligent voters, people. We can't just vote for a name or a slogan. We got to get to know who the candidates are and what their thoughts are and what they represent. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Stephen Missick. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Good morning. It's good to be here.
Welcome.
Thank you. Well, I'm Stephen Missick. I'm the pastor of King of Saints Tabernacle. I've served in the military for 30 years. I have 2 combat deployments to Iraq. I went to Iraq in 2003 and 4, and then back again in 2009 and 10. I was on the border mission for 4 years, so I know the border very well from Brownsville to El Paso. Written several books, mostly on biblical issues. So I've done some independent Christian filmmaking. I did this little movie about St. Jude Thaddeus, one of the 12 apostles. So I don't know, I've been around, done a lot of different things.
Okay, fantastic. So I know that you ran in the last race, and unfortunately didn't make it. So what made you decide to throw your hat in the ring again?
Well, this is a Republican primary, and I got this information. I think that people, like you said, people need to be informed about their candidate. And if you look at Rice University Analytics, they put his voting record in there. And this isn't a conservative organization. This is, like I said, this is a Republican primary. And Rice University, not a conservative think tank, not a conservative group at all, they say he's a liberal. He votes liberal.
Okay, so, but this podcast is about you and your race. So I really don't want to discuss what the other candidates are doing. Or,
well, we need change. We need somebody. If you're a Republican voter, we should have somebody that represents the views of this House district, and he doesn't. I think it's important that we need change. We need to get Ernest Bales out of office and get somebody who's going to vote for conservatism in there. And what do I have to bring to the table? Like I said, I have experience on the border. Bales doesn't have that experience. Holt doesn't have that experience. I worked on the border. I remember somebody was telling me Bales was saying, well, the ranchers don't want a wall. And it's like, what is he talking about? I've been on those ranches at the border. They want border security. And like I said, I've been to every port of entry from Brownsville all the way to El Paso. And I've seen the border problem bad. I mean, look at these migrant caravans of tens of thousands of people sometimes coming across.
And they're not Mexicans. They're from all over the world.
That's true.
And we don't know who they are.
That's absolutely true. We had this, it was so bad they started building up tents. And I was over in Rio Grande City, and it was just beyond the capacity to deal with all these people. And they were doing the best they could. And we were, National Guard, they need our help because it's so overwhelming.
Right, with the schools and the housing, and somebody's got to feed these people.
You look at Henry Cuellar. He's a Democrat representative from that area. And he represents, look, that area down there is 85-90% Hispanic, and it's always been, since Texas became independent down there, it's always been over 50-60%. And there used to be more white people there than there are now, but that's always had a huge population of Tejanos down in the border, and they don't want this.
No, they believe in family values like everybody else.
Right. They're starting to transition red over there. They voted Monica de la Cruz and Mayra Flores. Actually, this is very interesting. I'm down there, and they're having Tejanos for Trump rally. So Trump has got a lot of popularity down there. So it's not fair to those people. In fact, when Trump started building a wall, expanding the wall in McAllen, La Jolla, just a little ways down, it's like, hey, that's not fair. Why are you expanding a wall in La Jolla? We want a wall down here. I had a friend I was visiting in Rio Grande City down there, and I stopped at a convenience store. I said, well, how's he going to talk to the lady there, the cashier? I said, how's your day today? Oh, typical, sirens flashing, guns going off in a high-speed chase. These are our fellow Texans. They want security. And it's very interesting tonight. Everybody's bilingual.
Okay, so, all right, so that kind of provides the foundation of border security. I guess.
That's important.
So
I have unique
what
experience
specifically, what legislation would you put forth that would enhance or assist in controlling what's going on the border?
Right, especially in light of the fact that the federal government is doing everything they can to attack anything Texas is doing to try to secure their own border.
I think that they have been passing good legislation, but this is Governor Abbott's decision. I think, just think about what's happened since Joe Biden took office. We had Dan Patrick talking the other day, and they're putting numbers like 8 million people coming across the border illegally since Biden took office. And he says, well, it's probably more than that. It's probably 12 to 15 million. And we got a year to go. They want as many illegal aliens coming across the border as possible. And it's really not possible.
It's become obvious. It's not a mistake.
Right.
This is by design.
Right. As long as that man's in office, he's going to do everything he can to flood the country with illegal aliens. And he doesn't care that New York, these sanctuary cities, they can't take it anymore. New York and Chicago. I have friends in Chicago.
And they've got a drop in the bucket compared to the Texas border.
Right.
All the way to California and New Mexico, Arizona.
So we should be doing more. We have like a mile-long buoy. Why don't we have 20 miles of buoy, right? Running the concertina wire, putting connexes up. There's a lot of things we could do. Actually, we need to stand up for Texas. Now, the Constitution says this: the obligation of the federal government to protect the states from invasion. I mean, 12 million people or plus in 3 years.
Right. They won't even call it a crisis, much less an invasion.
So some of the legislation they shouldn't even they should just act, right? We just need to act. And some of these things they're doing are good. I think they're going to start arresting and detaining. The solution right now, first off, this comes from the president. I saw with my own eyes the migrant crisis, really bad, horrible. And then I saw how you solve it. All you do, Trump did it, it's just bang. It just is like from night and day. What you have to do is stop what Trump did is he pulled out the so-called Flores Agreement, which is catch and release. They come across the border, and look, 95% of these people are not refugees or asylum seekers. Well, they're asylum seekers, but they don't have this fraudulent. Right. It's all fraud.
Well, they were told what to say and what form to fill out, what box to check.
That's true. So what you do is, do you remain in Mexico? It's like, okay, you're going to have to wait. Your court trial's date's coming up in a few years. You're going to wait in Mexico because we're not obligated to take them here. By international law, the first safe country is where they should be seeking refuge. That's not about that. It's about coming to America. And
exactly.
It's all a scam. We shouldn't allow ourselves to be scammed like that. And think about this. The expense. Like, a lot of African Americans are upset, as they should be. The African Americans have been here for 500 years. These are Americans. And they're going to put in the back of the line for somebody that came over here fraudulently? Right. That's not right for Americans to be treated that way. And look at the value of our dollar. We've lost over half of the value of the dollar since this guy took over. And now we've got to take care of people who have no right to be here, and they're fraudulent. They're committing fraud. It's not right.
All right, so let me steer this ship back to the question at hand.
All right, I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. What specifically, as far as legislation goes, do you think you could put forth to either assist in controlling the border or better control the border?
Well, we need to build our own wall and things like that. I like the legislation they passed, but I think the real solution is to get the National Guard, declare an invasion, and deter these people. Just arrest them and send them right back.
Okay.
Is
that law
repel
on
the
the books
invasion
right now? Is it being appealed, or what's the status of that law?
Like I said, the Constitution says the states have the right to actually defend themselves from an invasion like this, and it's the obligation of the government to protect them. But it's the government's not doing it. They're passing these legislations. I think that's a wise move to make. So if the governor starts taking these actions, he says, "Well, I have legislative backing to do it." But we need to do more. But I think that fundamentally, the governor just needs to declare an invasion and start repelling these people and sending them back.
Okay.
It's like I said, we got fentanyl coming across, 100,000 American teenagers dying every year. Nobody cares about that. And it's just flooding our border. You know, these people say, oh, it's coming across the port of entry. They have no idea where the fentanyl's coming because the border's wide open. What data do you have to say that the fentanyl's coming across the ports of entry? You have no idea. That's just a way to deflect and try to well, it shows me they don't care about our kids dying by 100,000 a year. Can you imagine 100,000 a year? That means we're going to have almost 500,000 people, American teenagers, dead because of an open border.
Well, it's also dangerous for the immigrants coming here, illegal immigrants coming here. I think 700 died drowning last year.
We had a National Guard soldier that perished last year trying to rescue somebody who ended up being a drug.
They do that all the time. There's rescues all the time. Yeah.
If you don't want them to die, then tell them not to break the law this way. Don't have an open door. It's not. These girls, they have a rape tree. You know, these people, a lot of they're paying at least $2,000 to $10,000 a head. The cartels are making trillions of dollars off this, and every girl's lined up, and they extract their final payment at the rape tree before they let them cross over.
Right, it's
and
part
that's
of the
disgusting.
cost.
You think that's compassionate to subject to make the Mexican cartels a $1 trillion corporation basically, and to have kids trafficked, our young people overdosing, and women being raped by the hundreds of thousands, and that's compassionate. It's not compassionate. It's inhumane. And that's the biggest crisis we face, and we have to put an end to this open border crisis.
I've come to the conclusion that that's just collateral damage for their ultimate outcome.
They're trying to change the demographics of this country so that they have a one-party. Elon Musk said this like yesterday on Twitter, and he's absolutely right. They don't care about people. The left only cares about one thing, and that's power. And they're just using the immigration so they can have a one-party rule, so they can finally implement their dream of a Marxist utopia.
Millions more beholden to the government, and you know how they'll vote. Yeah.
Just think about if Biden gets elected again, or remains in power. That's going to be another 20 million people, and that means our dollar's going to lose another 2/3 of its value. We can't go on like this. And that's the other thing, is we need candidates who know what's going on, are willing to take strong action. Because I don't think our country's going to make it. And what is that going to mean for our children and our future, but also for the rest of the world? I think America represents something. The shining city on the hill, like Jesus, and then Ronald Reagan invoked that. What's going to happen when America falls? And this is not beacon of freedom anymore.
Right.
This is not going to endure this way. So, and that's the biggest crisis, and I have unique perspective and experience on the border that Bales and Holt don't have. I know how serious it is. I've seen it. I've worked it. And, as a chaplain, I care about my soldiers, so I go from port of entry to port of entry, from duty station to duty station, to make sure they're okay. So I know the border issue very well. And that's the number one. Everybody knows it now. That's the number one issue that our country faces. Okay. And it's going to kill us if we don't respond. And I'll do whatever we can to secure and close that border to save our state and our country.
Okay. So I'd like to move forward out of this subject matter for just a minute. We can roll back around to it if you guys want to in a few minutes. So I'd like to talk about, and in a way it's related. Yeah, indirectly, but it's related. So the Colony Ridge subdivision area, whatever you'd like to call it, has been a big topic here in Liberty County.
Mm-hmm.
So do you see anything legislatively that you could do to, again, assist or support what's going on in Colony Ridge and fix those issues here while keeping in mind that these issues are multi-pronged, they're multifaceted? Right. We have traffic issues because of it. Right. We have infrastructure issues because of it. A lot of that has spilled over into Montgomery County. I know as a Texas rep, you would be serving both Liberty County and East Montgomery County.
Right.
And
just
that's
a sliver.
And that's right there where everything is taking place. Right. So what are your thoughts on Colony Ridge and how can we fix it?
Well, I want to mention that last time we had this interview, I believe I brought up Colony Ridge. The thing is, Colony Ridge it's been going on for a long time, and I've been tracking it for a long time, but it only caught a hold of the national consciousness, I think September 15th, when the Daily Wire picked up a story on it. And finally, people are talking about it. And I've been talking to people who've, when I'm campaigning, I talk to people who just want to leave the area, whose families have been here for generations, and it's like looking at what's going on with Colony Ridge. It's like, it's not safe for their kids anymore. We have cartel activity. You got sex trafficking going on there.
Yeah, but actually, I've gotten the stats from the police departments out there, and there hasn't been any cartel activity. That's just a rumor. I mean, as far as arrests that have been made, zip. Nothing.
No, there's been some big drug busts out there. I'm sure there's cartel activity out there. There's other issues as well. Just look at the drainage system, and also these roads they're building, which are collapsing already. If you look at reduceflooding.com by Bob Rahak, I mean, it's empirical. You can see the ditches he dug, and they're failing. He's got photographs of these. It's not just me. It's the Department of Justice. They're inviting illegal aliens over here.
So let me ask you something on the ditches then. So does that come back to Liberty County and their commissioners, or does that go back to the developer? So who's responsible for those ditches? Who's responsible for an overall drainage program for that area?
I think they've been turning a blind eye to what the Harris brothers have been doing. They haven't been holding the county and letting them cut corners.
Or maybe Liberty County doesn't have the funding to take care of an issue that big. You got to think of how big Colony Ridge is. It's huge.
Well,
it's 55,000 acres. I don't know how many miles of road there are.
It's as big as Manhattan now.
But it's huge.
75,000 people there now. That an estimate, and they intend to grow it to 250,000.
Yeah,
that's the size of Cleveland.
Well, it's going to be the biggest area in the biggest municipality. One of the things you need to do. So I think
maybe Liberty County doesn't have the funding to handle that.
One of the things you need to do.
Too large of an infrastructure problem. Go ahead.
I believe we need to repeal the special legislative protections that Ernest Bales bestowed upon them. House Bill 4341. Ernest Bales made them it's not even a municipality. He made them a municipality management district.
A territory.
Basically it's the fiefdom, the kingdom of John and Trey Harris. He bestowed that on them. And all these rights and privileges and protections that the Harris brothers have, when I win, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to repeal 4341. And we're going to hold John and Trey Harris accountable. Like the drainage system. You watch Bob Rehak's thing. He's got helicopter pictures. He's got, I guess satellite pictures. And you can see, and he shows, here's the regulations. Here's how a drainage system is supposed to be built out. Here's how he built it. And you can see it failing. You got this little shanty town. So this guy's got a shack, and because it was built not according to the standards, it's expanding. And this poor guy's shack is falling into it expanded 40 feet on both sides of the ditch.
How do they get special protection not to have to follow the rules of development?
It's the way that their municipal district was set up.
It needs to be repealed, and they need to come in there and say, you're going to fix this. You are going to fix this.
But I think what a lot of people don't know and understand is at the time that legislation went into place, it was, I believe, 5 acres. It wasn't that big. And Colony Ridge wasn't what it is now.
5 acres. I think that whole thing was a scam. It was people. Okay, I'll tell you what happened. My father founded our congregation, King of Saints Tabernacle in Cleveland, Texas, and he's very active in the Ministerial Alliance. We got Pastor Carl Williams and James Holt Cornerstone, and other pastors that come. And
this is in Cleveland, right?
This is in Cleveland.
Okay.
So you talk to these people, other pastors, and at first there's concerns. It's like, you see what's going on over there? There's a shanty town going up. You see prostitution. You go in there just driving around, and all of a sudden seemingly cartel members, come up in a truck and pull out guns and threaten. These are, people are talking about these things. They're concerned about it. All right, so this is bad, Just the squalor people are living out there, and obviously as illegal aliens that are being settled in this area. So then Ernest Bales wins the election. He comes, he speaks to the Ministerial Alliance. And it's like, I know you all have concerns about, we're calling it Plum Grove at the time. We didn't know it was Colony Ridge or Tyrannis Houston went on. I know you're concerned about what's going on in Plum Grove. I want to tell you that it's not going to go away. I'm going to make it legal. I'm going to make it legal, and it's not going away. I was shocked because it seems like with sex trafficking, people seeing drugs, all this stuff going on. It seems like the responsible thing a representative would do is go in there and put an end to that nonsense. So he goes to Austin and he crafts this legislation. That whole thing, that 5 acres, that was just a way to give them the authority to grow it exponentially.
I'm not sure if he crafted that legislation. I think I took a look at it and discovered that it was crafted prior to him becoming elected.
Well, he introduced it with State Senator Nichols.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that either.
He said he was going to make it legal. I was there. I heard that from his own mouth. And Ken Paxton, when he looked into it, he found that legislation was introduced It's probably written by the Harris brothers. Here, here's what I want you to do for me.
Vote for this.
Yeah.
Have you met the Harris brothers?
I have not.
No.
Yeah. If
Tough
I win,
bunch.
I want to meet them so I can run them out of the area.
Tough bunch, man. Yeah, they're a tough bunch.
I watched
I've heard
Glenn Beck.
I've
Have you
heard
seen?
that Trey Harris is Montgomery County's first billionaire.
Well, where did he get his money from?
Selling property,
from
I believe.
exploiting all these people.
Selling property.
The
I believe,
ITIN
so,
loans
yeah.
where they, get a, make a fake ID card and, pay
I
them
would-
$500. 33% of them get evicted.
I would love to get him on the show and find out what really happened with Colony Ridge from him.
I would recommend watching Glenn Beck's interview with him.
Nobody's going to get Trey Harris to do anything now.
John Harris was interviewed by Glenn Beck.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
Well, it's on YouTube, and Glenn Beck just proves that man to be such a liar about everything, and just his all mannerisms. He's all seems like a scam artist, but not a good one. Nobody's above the law. You can't just doing the human traffic. So he's advertising down in Central America. Hey, if you're thinking about making a run for the border, come to Terrenos, Houston. He's got his little model in there advertising it. A little pretty Latina girl. Come here to live in Terrenos, Houston. And
no, I don't agree with that. But is it illegal? That's the question. I don't agree with him advertising in that manner. But is it illegal, or is he, is he on the line?
The DOJ. Well, that's what. Well, he's given legal protections by that legislation, HB 4341. I think that gives him the confidence. He has special legislation, and if something's wrong or unethical, it should be illegal. I mean, if the DOJ is involved right now, they're saying that he's exploiting. You know what he does? He goes, "You just don't like Latino people. You're racist against Hispanics."
That's the fallback.
Blah 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 blah. And then the DOJ says he's exploiting Hispanics. You got the Sanchez sisters and others. Most people there are illegal alien, but not all of them. It's mostly Hispanics. A lot of them are Hispanic Americans, Tejano people that are being scammed by him. And there needs to be accountability. Like the whole drainage system. It's not according to code. Enforce the code on this guy. And if he's making money, millions of dollars from exploiting people, he's going to have to pay a lot of money out back to those people. I don't know why they're not pursuing. They're pursuing a lawsuit, and it might come to that. He's being investigated by the EPA, I guess the IRS. A lot of organizations are investigating.
Yeah, and all those cases take years to compile and put together, and then again years to present to a court. And so, yeah, you're looking at a long time down the road. By then, Colony Ridge will have exceeded
engulfed
probably
the entire house
that
district.
250,000 occupants.
Right.
So, because he hasn't slowed down in sales or anything.
That's the interesting thing. He's in legal trouble and he doesn't care. He's going to march forward.
Yeah.
But like I said, he's got protection. He's got Ernest Bales. I guess he's got Jay Knight. He's got Bergman, her father, and I guess he's retired now. She's carrying the torch of Colony Ridge, going. And a lot of people that live here don't like what's happening in their community, but a lot of the people in administration, they want it. They want it. They like there's money in building schools.
Oh yeah,
they want to build those schools, and they want you to pay for it. Another $225 million bond there. That's your property taxes going up.
I'm glad you
from
mentioned
people
schools.
who are breaking the law.
Right.
I'm glad you mentioned schools because that builds right into the next subject I'd like to talk about: school vouchers.
Right.
So where do you stand on school vouchers?
I believe in school choice. I work in education. I have worked in education, so like a substitute teacher while I was earning my doctorate. I need to have flexibility. So I've taught every grade from pre-K to 12th grade. I kind of enjoy teaching, and that's what I want to do. I got my doctorate. Hopefully I'll be teaching in a college, university, or maybe a graduate school level at some time. But honestly, I believe in education. I'm an educator, but I'm very concerned about what's going on at higher education and public school with this politicization of our, critical race theory and all this stuff. Well, look what happened. They closed down all of our schools in COVID, and then parents are finally seeing what's going on in the curriculum, and it's like, what in God's name is this? And then they go to school board meetings. These are their children. Their children they brought in the world, they're raising, and they're concerned about what they're being taught. And what happens? The school board association gets the FBI on them. Oh, we're so scared. It's a terrorist threat. And, they apologize, but the damage is already done. And what kind of country is that? You voice your concerns at a school board meeting, and the White House sends the FBI to fly helicopters over your house, collect your license plate numbers. We're becoming a police state, and that shows how concerned they are about controlling education. And we need education reform. We need to get these educators out of politics, back into education. And look at this Randy Weingarten character. Have you seen this left-wing maniac going around the face of the teachers' unions? And if that's, they don't want they're political activists masquerading as educators, corrupting our education system. And they're not gonna stop just because you ask them. Did you stop doing politics in school? Oh, okay, we won't do that anymore. You got to come down on these people and say we're not going to have this crap anymore. And one of the ways you stand up to these teachers unions and teachers associations is have school choice. We need to have. We don't want you to homeschool your kids. Then they had us all homeschool our kids during COVID.
Right.
So how bad is school? You had us do it. Couldn't be all that bad. So we need. I think. Especially as a pastor, I believe that we need to have godly values. Look, I've traveled around the world, around the Middle East. I love those countries. I love, Syria and Iraq and Egypt and, going to India and and even Uganda. But what we have in the United States of America, where we have freedom and opportunity, it doesn't exist in other places in the world. Like, Syria's a nice country, but it's like a police state, which is what America's becoming. And we need to. They're poisoning the minds of our kids against our great country. Especially with critical race theory. It's like, hey, look, I'm not. They falsely accuse you're trying to not teach kids about slavery. We're going to teach kids about slavery, but we also want to teach kids that the greatness of America and the opportunities that they don't know how good they have it here in this country.
Well, it seems to me that the powers that are now are pulling at every thread of the fabric of our country. Hate the country, hate
Right.
white folks,
Right.
divide and conquer.
Right.
It's worked in millennia. Divide and conquer.
That's what it's all about.
Get everybody getting excited
Hate
about
each
each other. Right.
Right.
And meanwhile,
What is this?
don't look at what we're doing.
Like, look at DEI. So we're supposed to have, it doesn't matter. What did Martin Luther King say? You don't judge people by the color of their skin, but by the quality of their character. Right? Let's let everybody be equal, black, white, Hispanic, And now it's like, oh, no, we have to have, racial quota
It's
systems
oppressor
like that.
and oppressed. And it even goes to the Israel-Gaza conflict.
Right.
They look at the Israelis as oppressor and the Gazas as oppressed.
Who would have thought? That's something that disturbs me about the left. 20 years ago, I went to the war on terror, and now we got young people sympathizing with Hamas, which is no different from ISIS and Al-Qaeda.
Right.
And I've been to Israel. I did archaeological work in Israel. And I got to say, I've been to many Arab countries. I'm opposed to radical Islam, but most Arab people are good people. They're nice people. We're supposed to love everybody. But we're looking at a radical extremist group that was raping and murdering people.
Well, they raised their children
to hate. I know.
Their coloring books are all about killing the Jews.
Yes, I've seen that. I saw it in Syria too. And like I said, I have nothing but goodwill for these people, but it's a part of it's just like what's going on here. They want you to hate the other. It's a means of control.
All your problems are their fault.
Right. You got to support the Alawite regime because the dirty Zionists are out there to get you, and we're protected. As bad as we are, we're protecting you from the Zionists.
Right.
So, and then what they're doing to the Palestinians is awful.
Okay, so
Round us
again,
up,
I gotta
Okay.
steer the ship back again to
I'm sorry.
to school vouchers. So, what's your position on school vouchers?
Like what I'm
For,
saying. I'm
against,
for. I'm for.
Would you like to have that legislation changed at all? Do you like it the way it is? Do you think it should change? Do you think it?
I think that school choice should be made available to every parent. The idea is the
And
money.
it should be state funded, because that's what school vouchers are. It's state
Right.
funded.
That's right. The money that is allocated to your child follows your child. If you want to spend it in homeschooling, if you want to send them to Christian school, if you want to send them to private school, this empowers the parent to have more choices to set up their children for success. Now, I think what the reality is that people.
But doesn't that really follow the protocol of DEI? I mean, it sounds to me like it does.
That what does it have to do? The parent gets to choose what school their kids go to.
That's equity, though, correct?
It's opportunity and choice. It's competition. I think the public schools need competition.
Okay, I'm just asking.
So
Yeah,
that's what.
yeah.
And the reality, what's going to happen is 85%, 70 to 85% of parents are going to send their kids to a public school. I remember one time I was teaching in Humble, and Humble High School it's got challenges. I'll put it that way.
I think every high school in America has challenges, and has since Mark and I were in high school.
Well, you go to
because I didn't
we gave them challenges.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, we sure did. But I didn't agree with the curriculum back then.
Right.
And so I don't know what the curriculum is like now, but
I go to one high school, and the students are disciplined, and it's an environment for education, right? You go to another school, and you could tell everybody's cutting up, and the whole atmosphere of the school.
But is that demographically based though?
It could. Well, the thing is, if there's a student that has academic aptitude, that environment is going to blunt their opportunities, right? You should allow. I mean, if most students want to go to that school, but if there's students that have talents, they should be able to go to a different school so they can realize their full potential. So I think we need to have options and competition for schools. They do it in Arizona. They have school choice. I think 13 states have school choice.
Yeah, there's a few out there.
And it works just fine. I saw this article by Fox News, and it was talking about Ernest Bales is one of the ones who's going against school choice, and that's why he's being attacked real hard for it, and it could cost him the election. But Ernest Bales is like, oh well, I'm trying to help our public schools out, and this person's like, look at Shepherd High School. Only 27% of the kids there can do math at grade level. Your schools are failing the students. What are you doing about that? Well, we want to keep funding in there. Well, we want to have opportunities
it's
for our kids.
It's always about more money. The teachers' unions are doing a great job making a lot of money, but those kids can't read or write, man.
What gets me too is I kind of agree with this. While I'm campaigning, I get these questionnaires from different groups, and they're talking about the tollways. And I agree with them. There's too many tollways. This is ridiculous. It's the responsibility of the government to provide roads. We shouldn't have to pay for roads. We already pay for them through taxes, right? So it's like, did you know that like 30% of the tolls go to schools? It's like we're throwing money at the schools, but the quality of the education's not improving. It's declining. And maybe school choice could be a way to improve the quality of education for kids. And like I said, it's working in other states. So if other states have these programs, it's helping their students, it's bringing their standards up. Why should Texas fall behind? If this is a way to advance and improve our quality of education and set up our children for success, we should do it. Plus, I believe in homeschooling. And I believe in Christian schooling because I see it in teaching. It's like there's a lot of left-wing political stuff in our curriculums here in Texas. It's supposed to be a red state, and I wish they'd get rid of the politics and just focus on education, what kids need to know.
Oh, wouldn't that be
learn.
a novel idea?
Right,
oh,
but if the public schools aren't going to do it. You want to inculcate a biblical or Christian worldview and patriotism in your child, then maybe you need to homeschool them or send them to a Christian school. And I think that every student should have the opportunity to thrive. And I think that my belief is that school choice allows them that opportunity. And like I said, in the end, it's hard to be a teacher, right? We need to support our teachers. And I don't see that this isn't going to hurt public schools in any way. And Dan Patrick just gave a speech about it. I recorded most of the speech, so you can go to my YouTube channel, and he addresses all these concerns and says he believes, I think he's correct, that school choice is actually in the end, even though you have these groups that are opposed to it, it's a win-win for Texas.
Well, Stephen, I think that's a well-articulated and valid argument. So I haven't quite heard it put that way, and so I appreciate it. That's a pretty good argument.
Got some good ideas.
There you go.
Hey, you want to give a shout out to your books and your congregation and put a little plug in there? Welcome to.
All right. Well, I've written several books. One of the books I'm kind of proud of is it's like a storybook. It's the St. Jude Thaddeus storybook. So it's about, in the Hispanic culture, they call him San Judas Tadeo, St. Jude Thaddeus, the patron saint of lost and desperate causes. So it's very interesting. Some of his stories in the Bible and some of it's in the writings of the early church fathers. And I did a short film me and my brother worked on. And so I made a storybook about who this apostle of Jesus Christ was. I've written various books. I've written a book on the language of Jesus, Aramaic, the words of Jesus, the original Aramaic. Wrote a book on Egyptian mythology called the Aeneid, trying to understand the cultural background of Moses. So the congregation that I pastor is King of Saints Tabernacle in Cleveland, Texas.
Where is that?
You got 1725. Well, if you look on the highway, you see Loves.
Cleveland is about.
Okay, yeah, I know what Loves
Right?
is.
So we have Cleveland, and that's 2025 that goes
Okay.
to Cold Spring. And there's Loves. And there's a road called Low Water Bridge Road, which is Country Road 388. It's called Low Water Bridge Road because if it rains, it floods. So it's always, so they call it Low Water Bridge Road because often it has some water on it. And then if you go to Low Water Bridge Road, you get to the end of the road on 1725, you turn right. The church is like a block past that. We have Saturday services. My background, Southern Baptist. I'm an evangelical Christian. My father, I guess in his later years, is like, let's understand Jesus and his Jewish background, Jewish culture. So we do like, he observes, we have services on Saturday. There's nothing wrong with worshiping on Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever day. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So as long as you're in church, but we have Saturday services. We also do like Christ and the Passover and things like that, where we support the Jewish roots. But for me, the primary thing is, John 3:16, that God loved the world so much that he sent Jesus Christ. He loves everybody. God so loved the whole world. He loves the Jewish people. He came through the Jewish people, but he loves everybody. He's the Son of Man. He's the Son of all mankind. That whosoever believes in him, anybody that has faith can be saved, right? And be forgiven of their sins. Not perish, but have everlasting life. That's what Jesus Christ came for because he loves us. He wants us to have a full and abundant life. And that's what we should want for everybody. Like even with Colony Ridge, we have to have law enforcement with this immigrant. I think a lot of people are going to need to be deported, but we don't hate these people. We have to love everybody. Like I said, I'm fighting the war on terror. And I don't hate Muslims. I don't hate Arab people. I love them. But sometimes you have to have the fight against terrorism and work for law enforcement. In the end, if you're doing that, you're actually benefiting by having peace and stability. You're benefiting everybody, which is what I want to do.
Okay. So I know you've got a couple of engagements coming up, some forums and such. Do you recall off the top of your head what those dates?
Oh, there's. I'll be very
are?
busy. I'm going to put it on my Facebook as a schedule of events. I'm going to be in Dayton this next week, and I should have brought the list of things, but you can go on Twitter and find Stephen Missick. I'm going to have everything. We're all going to be busy. I think there's like 8 events.
Yeah, I know there's
up.
a few of them that I'll actually be moderating. So
you're going to be moderating one of them.
Yeah, I'll be moderating several.
That's the East Montgomery County.
East Montgomery County Republican Women, and also the new one in Liberty County. I'll be moderating.
Okay,
there too.
so you're going to be moderating twice.
Yeah.
That's going to be a crazy day for us because you're going to moderate us for 30 minutes. And then we got to get in a car and go to the Vindicator in Dayton County.
Right.
That's gonna be wild. We're gonna so there's a lot of events coming up. So
do you have any personal meet and greets or campaign fundraisers or anything like that you're doing as well?
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. If people want to come and meet me, we have Wednesday night prayer meetings. We're praying for our country. King of Saints Tabernacle in Cleveland, Texas, 7 o'clock. If you want to meet me, if you want to support the campaign, you just want to come in and pray for our country. So that's what I'm going to be doing every Wednesday night at King of Saints. And, of course, I'm going to be traveling around the area. I mean, we're going to be in Lumberton a lot. We're going to be in Dayton a lot. And I'm up in Kuntz, that area. Was it a town called Rayburn or something like that?
Yeah.
So I'll be all over the place. But everyone, of course, we have our services at King of Saints on Saturday morning. But if you want to meet me, anybody out there, and support the campaign or just pray for our country, Wednesday night, 7 o'clock at King of Saints Tabernacle, 2228 FM 1725, Cleveland, Texas.
Okay. Facebook page and all that stuff?
There's a Dr. Missick for state rep. It's under my page, Stephen Andrew Missick on Facebook. But there's also Twitter, Stephen Missick. I'm on Truth Social, Dr. Missick. So there's different ways you can find me.
Great. Fantastic.
Well, man, our primary is coming up real quick, March 4th or 5th.
No, the early
voting starts.
Look, I want to tell everybody out there.
Okay.
Vote early. Okay, vote early. February 20th, early voting starts. Don't wait. don't wait for election day. Election day is March 5th all day long. But I think there's a week of early voting. It's probably the 20th to the 1st, I think.
Right.
So vote early. I vote early. Of course, one of the things when I win, I'm concerned about voting fraud and stuff like that. But I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with voting a week early. Plus, it gives people flexibility. Stuff could happen. You
Right. You got a nice day and you got time, go vote.
Right.
Because voting day, it may be stormy and windy or
Right.
around here, iced over or something.
I don't like. When I was deployed to the border, I tried to do distant veil. It's like, you didn't do it in time. For situations like that, if you're shut in or if you're on a deployment, you should have mail-in voting for specific. I don't believe in mail-in voting except for those circumstances.
That's
But
the way it
early voting's
originated,
okay.
and that's what it was for, the infirm and the out of state
Now
and
it's
that kind of thing.
abused. So
Yeah.
we got to put it into that. But
Exactly.
but there's opportunities to vote right now. February 20th, go out and do early voting. March 5th, that's the big day. Let your voices be heard. And I also want to challenge people to this happens a lot. People go, I've done it. I'm going to vote for this candidate, that candidate. And there's 10 others. And it's like, who are these people? What am I going to do? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Right.
Don't vote like that. Go get some research on it and know what you're voting for. So that's what my challenge is. Do research on the candidates. Know every race, know every candidate, and make an informed vote. And don't wait to vote. If you can, vote early.
Well put.
Great. Thank you very much. Mark, you got anything else?
I think we're all wrapped up here.
Okay.
Good show.
Fantastic. Well, Stephen, it was great having you in. I know you've got a tough row to hoe with this whole race. It's a big race. It's an important one.
Mm-hmm.
So I did appreciate all the things that you said here today, and look forward to finding out what the outcome's going to be.
All right.
For Mark Hogan, I'm Hank Vatt. This is Hank's Think Tank, and we're going to the next one.